Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for the daily close for SPX and NASDAQ. Together we're gonna see those two indexes, what they are doing today and what to expect next. Of course, we saw a red also today for the SPX, same as for the NASDAQ. We're gonna analyze the next move right now, and on the daily chart we are looking at a 1-2 here and a 3. Your wave 4 is an expanding flat, and of course looking for a wave 5. As we can see, the wave 4 has hit so far perfectly the 0.5 fib level taken from the wave 2 to the wave 3 here in the top, hitting of course this blue box right now as a 0.5 fib level, and looking still for a wave 5 in case it's gonna unfold. Potentially this wave 4 is not finished yet. It is an impulse, a 1 2 3, and still inside this impulse it is not invalidated yet. We're gonna see it much more closer, of course, on the 4-hour chart. On the 4-hour chart, we can see, of course, this 1 2 3 and this wave 4 towards the downside, of course, hitting perfectly our fib level 0.38, 0.5 fib level. In the blue box again, you have a WXY here, definitely after 3 waves down, and of course we're looking at potential impulse towards the downside. Now in this area we were looking for a potential expanding a flat, of course finishing exactly in this area as ABC. Now we have hit it already before and we moved toward the upside again. However, the price did not, of course, finish there, and we still looking for lower. After hitting this area and moving toward the upside before my trip, of course, and now coming back to see, of course, this this massive move towards the downside, opening for a bigger expanding flat, of course, now hitting exactly, taking the low, hitting exactly this blue box. Our recession signal, of course, is taking the 4,620, which is, of course, a recession signal here, or confirmation, I would say, and that because, of course, this will interrupt the impulse toward the downside where you have 1 2 3. Your wave 4 is not allowed to interfere with the zone 1 here exactly, and that means, of course, this invalidation, this is an invalidation for this impulse, meaning that you are in a bigger A, B, and a C. And that is, of course, a massive move toward the downside for the wave C and a bigger pattern here. So as you have realized, the things start to escalate week after the other. We start with an expanding flat to finish, of course, an expanding flat to finish inside this area. We saw a rebound and we saw, of course, a breakdown again. So we have expanded our correction to this area, A, B, and a C again. We saw now a hit, we saw a move towards the upside, and today we see again a continuation towards the downside. If this will continue to this area, our expanding flat is gonna, of course, get a bigger pattern this time, of course, which is it's gonna be a massive drop, guys. This is how the things are escalating, one time after the other and 1 week after the other. But this time there is no mercy anymore. There is, of course, a very huge pattern that it might unfold here as a correction, which it might be, of course, the big recession in case we take this low. Yeah, so we have to be very, very careful with it. On the let's move to the 1-hour chart, actually much better, to see what do we have inside the 1-hour chart here. This expanding flat is still extending one wave after the other. So we have a 1 2 3 and you have your wave 4 here. Currently you are in a very massive wave 5, and this wave 5 is unfolding as 1 2 3 4 and a 5. You did not reach the invalidation of this impulse, which is, of course, the 5,489. It was very close for the invalidation until we saw, of course, today the drop again toward the downside. Meaning right now you are finishing a wave 5 of a wave 5. Yeah, so you are in a 1 2 3 4 and a 5. So this wave 5 might be a 1 2 3 4 5 again, of course, to unfold a bigger move toward the downside. If this move toward the downside will break this level, therefore this is, of course, the game over, I would say, for the US market right now, and entering a recession, a big corrective wave that it might unfold. Now, if we dive even a little bit closer on the 15-minute chart, we see today that we got already a gap here, which is kind of like an impulse indication, potentially that you have a 1, 2, 3. Now, this wave 4, if this is a wave 4, it is definitely an invalidation. We see, of course, higher prices again. And yeah, the other scenario that we were talking about is, of course, in case we are looking for a rebound to the upside. I mentioned this yesterday in the live stream. We would like to seek after 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and a 5 leading diagonal toward the upside. I have mentioned this yesterday. That because, of course, of this wave 3, that it did not reach, of course, the 1.618. We have reached only the 1.27 as a wave 3 here, and we set back towards the downside, hitting the wave 1, of course, is the zone 1, and invalidation of any kind of impulse, transferring this as 3-wave zigzag, meaning it can be a wave 1. Looking for a wave 2, potentially your wave 2 can still, of course, look for lower, don't forget this, and then having a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 leading diagonal toward the upside. That means, of course, that you cannot expect a very fast recovery for the market here as an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, like an impulse 3, 4, and a 5. That is, of course, a little bit far. We're looking here at a zigzag wave 1. And potentially to move, of course, slowly toward the upside in a diagonal shape here as bullish. However, don't forget that you are still mainly in a bearish scenario. We are in a massive move toward the downside, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and we did not invalidate it. So I cannot really give it like a high chance here. For bullish, even as a leading diagonal, higher possibility, I would say 60% we are still bearish, 40% that we are in a formation of a leading diagonal. So basically what I'm expecting next is, of course, having one more leg toward the downside to finish this structure, whether it is corrective or it is impulsive. Yeah, so we are still looking toward the downside right now. I know we are looking at some green now, but of course this is corrective, and potentially we're looking here at a correction as a wave 2. If we break this and we take the low, therefore we have to be careful. This might, of course, reach our recession signal. Yep, so let's move to the NASDAQ to see the confluence. So on NASDAQ, we are looking at the daily as well. Let's start with the daily. Let me just arrange those. On the daily, we are looking, of course, at this ABC, which is a clear expanding flat, A, B, and a C, hitting perfectly the 1.38, 1.618. The blue box, very nice retracement towards the upside. However, in NASDAQ, of course, we are looking still for lower, knowing that we have an invalidation of any kind of impulse. If you are in 1, 2, 3, your wave 4 has invalidated, of course, this impulse. Meaning, in a bigger view, if you are in 1, 2, 3 and you're looking for a wave 4, potentially you would like to see a wave 5 moving toward the upside. Our recession signal still the 16K, hitting, of course, the zone 1. If we see the price hitting this yellow line, which is very, very close and very risky right now for the market, we might shift into a big corrective wave again as an expanding flat, potentially taking the low, and then, of course, to be reanalyzed for a bull market. That it's gonna be, of course, a massive move towards the downside. It can be a destroyer, of course, as we mentioned as well yesterday in the live stream. If we move to the 1-hour chart as well for the micro analysis, we see, of course, is this 3 waves toward the upside. We have mentioned yesterday that this is a truncated wave 5 potentially because we failed to take the high here, turning it, of course, into 3 corrective wave, and yeah, potentially that we have a big correction here as an A, B, and a C. In this case scenario, we are looking at the following count: W, X, and a Y for the 3 waves toward the downside, and that because, of course, we don't see an impulse here. we see of course three waves and turning it into a WX and a Y, another WX and a Y for an X, and of course, or it can be an ABC. Simply this can be an impulse. Definitely we have an ABC toward the downside, right? We don't have 1 2 3 4 because of course we saw the invalidation as explained on the daily. Now in this area yesterday, I mentioned if we take this yellow line, forget about having an impulse toward the upside. And that because, of course, you are not allowed that the wave 4 interfere with the zone 1, meaning this is not an impulse. Forget about having 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Higher potential for the bullish is that you have finished as a zigzag here, wave 1, of course, same as for the SPX. 1 2 3 4 5 in leading diagonals. This is your most possible scenario as bullish, but is not the highest, of course, as for the market. And of course, you would like to see zigzags as a wave 1, zigzag for 2, 4 to 3, and 4 and a 5. And then, of course, finishing a wave 1 here, and then big 3 corrective wave as a wave 2, and then moving toward the upside, meaning the market to recover is not gonna be fast as well. It's gonna take a long time, of course, to recover and to see further continuation toward the upside. Now if we dive a little bit deeper on the 15-minute chart, we can see the choppiness of this wave here, turning it into a correction. As mentioned yesterday in the live stream, I cannot of course call a bullish scenario just by seeing some higher prices. Of course, it can happen in any time, any market, but of course you need of course a nice and clean impulse toward the upside, which we don't have it in this area. Potentially we are still looking for lower prices here in case you are in an A, B, and a C toward the downside finish in this area. You might still looking for an extension toward the downside, of course, which can be impulsive in this case. If we are in an impulse here, you would like to see, of course, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and a 5 toward the downside, taking the low. If this happens, we have to be careful. We are very close as well for the recession signal. Now, in both case scenario, if you are, of course, corrective here and you're looking for a wave 2 in a leading diagonal, you're still looking for lower. Yeah? So in both case scenario, as you can see, we are still looking for lower prices. Coming back to this area is very dangerous as well. If we break it, yeah, I would say the chances are very, very low to prevent hitting this wave 1. What I mean with this is, of course, on the daily, you would like to prevent hitting this zone 1, which is an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, or even if it is a double 1, 2, this is a break for a double 1, 2. If you are in a double 1, 2 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the wave 4 is not allowed to interfere in this area. And if you are in a double 1, 2, you are breaking already the momentum of a double 1, 2, especially that this wave 2 is very deep, deeper than this previous 1, 2, and also even longer in time from this previous 1, 2. So basically, you don't want to see the 15K or 16K, I would say, taken. You would like to see, of course, at least a diagonal formation here in this area on the 15-minute chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. To, of course, be aligned with the S&P as well, 500. Yeah, so these are the readings for the US market. Basically, I'm looking for lower in both case scenarios. Hopefully that, of course, we retrace toward the upside in case we want a healthy market again. That was it for NASDAQ and SPX. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.